The Sports Scouting Report with Lieber King, brought to you by Harvey Autos in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you've trusted for years. Geico, the insurance savings you expect. Supreme Chevrolet, expect more from Supreme Automotive Group in Gonzales. Bollinger Shipyards, 75 years of delivering high-quality vessels. Here's your host, Lieber King.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
All right, Zephaniah Terrell Powell, Amite High School head football coach.
Coach, you've been here for a couple of days. Tell everybody how many years you've been the head coach at Amite.
This is going to be since 2015.
Speaking of that, I know you can't name everybody because you got a bunch of players all over the country.
Right.
But you told me you got a couple of players currently right at Southeastern.
Right.
That are doing really well.
Yeah. You have some guys at Southeastern. Lamar Harris, who's doing great right there. At Alcorn State University, Devontae's younger brother, Christian Smith.
Okay.
You know, he's a running back that's right there at Alcorn State University. Kyle Maxwell just finished up at Washington State. Louisiana Tech just offered 26 cornerback for us, and Franklin Morgan Jr. Dorian Baptiste played for us 2020, 2021. He was at East Texas State over in Texas. Hezekiah Neeson played at McNeese. We had some guys pretty much kind of sprinkled out. Corey McKnight played at Hutchinson Community College. Cameron Henderson was over at South Alabama. Amani Gilmore finished his career at Texas College.
Big guy, too.
Yeah, his younger brother, JaVay Gilmore, he's at Marshall right now.
Just on and on,
yeah,
Coach.
They were.
But I want to mention this about Amite, because if you're not from this area, people think, well, Amite must have 1,000 students.
No.
So wrong.
No, sir. We're like right now we probably have about 325 kids.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we have about 325 kids. Yes, sir. Our population is not that big.
And would you say 90% of the kids, the boys here, play football?
Yes, sir. That's something that we try to hit the hallways as much as we possibly can, from our middle school all up to our high school, to try to get as many boys actively involved in school, and sports is one way that we try to do it.
You're big on academics too.
Yes, sir. Well, we the last 2 years we actually have moved to a complete magnet system here in our parish, and that's the reason why we're no longer considered a non-select school. We're actually been placed on the select side of the LHSAA format for playoffs and all that good stuff. But we're actually a magnet school, and our magnet component is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Okay. And our principal, Dr. Ford, he's been doing a phenomenal job of pushing it out there and letting our community know the programs and the STEMs that we're offering. We're in the middle of LEAP exams right now. We're hoping that our school scores continue to rise. We're knocking on the door to become a B school, but we're not stopping there. Because his ultimate vision for us is to become an A school, not only A-rated in athletics, but also A-rated in academics as well. So I give kudos to Dr. Ford and our administration staff, and I'm just one of the pieces that's pushing it not only to the football players here, but to pretty much our entire student body. Because we want to be the epitome, we want to be the class of our parish.
Explain that Saints football behind you, Coach. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, that was we were actually honored to be the coach of the week for week 7 of this past football season.
Nice.
And me and my wife and my family, we were actually invited down, and they presented this to us, and nice little ceremony. Not only was I there, but a lot of the coaches throughout the state was honored, as well. So kudos to the New Orleans Saints for deciding to pick me as that week.
They do a lot with Tangipahoa, St. Tammany area in New Orleans.
Yes, Austin Paco. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correct. Yes, he reaches out all the time. Hey, Coach, do y'all need anything? We're doing this, and we got this going on. They've been spearheading our girls flag football.
Okay.
Too. So that's something that's taken off in the state, Louisiana, Mississippi, and other states as well. And New Orleans Saints, they've been pretty much kind of pumping it out.
Coach Powell, last question I want to ask you, just get your thoughts.
Sure.
What would you like to see change moving forward? Do you have any ideas when things are changed for when they structure the NIL and they structure the portal? You know, it's coming, but what do you, is there anything that you'd like to, any ideas that you have? Because it's been a free agent market with no details.
Right. Well, you know, and you know, a lot of the college coaches have been talking about that. You know, Coach Saban, you know, was pretty much kind of was like out in the forefront of it. You know, of especially with the situation that's happening now with the kid from University of Tennessee.
Yes, Nico.
Yeah, you know, the NCAA, they're going to have to come in and put some type of rules and regulations on, especially with the NIL, and, you know, and how that's going to be dictated. You know, there's been rumblings about the next, I guess, year that there is some type of structure that's getting ready to come out. You know, each university is going to get like a pool of money, and the sports it's going to be divided, you know, from that pool of money. As far as the portal, you know, you getting kids, you know, transferring, you know, 4 and 5 times. I mean, it's, you know, in some situations I get it. In some situations, you know, I don't, you know, I really don't get, you know, I'm all a proponent for, you know, making the best decision for you. But, you know, at some point, you know, it's got to be some type of a way you do it, how you do it, the time that you can do it. You know, I don't think like transferring like during a like bowl season or
before spring,
you know, and then also too with that, and I'm speaking for high school coaches and high school recruiting. It's literally destroying high school recruiting,
right?
You know, for us,
taking all the scholarships.
Yes, because basically, you know, the college coaches are, you know, and I give them credit. You know, they're telling us up front, you know, coach, we're not recruiting high school kids. You know, we're not doing it. He's gonna have to be like a 5-star or 4-star kid. And even sometimes, you know, they're really not even looking at that because their mindset is, well, I'd rather deal with this 20-year-old that's been in the collegiate program than to deal with this 17-year-old that, you know, that doesn't know like the ins and outs.
Even if the 20-year-old's not polished still too.
Right, exactly. You know, so but you know, just for speaking for high school coaches and high school kids and high school parents, because I get it all the time from my parents. Well, coach, how come my son is not being recruited? Well, man, you know, colleges, they're really not looking at high school kids anymore. You know, so. And even junior colleges now, you know, they're pretty much kind of up in their stand, you know, because they're in a situation now. Okay, they're getting a lot of these kickbacks,
right?
So you know,
doesn't count.
You know, it doesn't count against them. Well, you know, coach, with this kid, he's coming back from, let's say, Oregon or Oregon State. You know, we'd rather take this kid than to deal with your.
Now they're getting pickier with their limits.
Right, exactly. So I mean, you know, recruiting for high school kids, football wise, it's becoming extremely harder now.
Coach, tell me if you don't agree with this. So I've been to dinner and meetings with 4 college coaches, head coaches in state the last 5 weeks.
Okay.
And all of them tell me, they look me in the face, and you can tell it's just tough to deal with. This new roster limit they have, it hit them, and they weren't ready.
Right.
All of them have to cut 18 to 20 walk-ons when spring is over.
Right.
Good players.
Right.
And you've heard this. Then it reopens recruiting again for the 25 class in June.
Right.
And parents can't wrap that around their head. They're like, June?
Right.
Because February was the last signing date.
Right.
Now we're going into June, July with recruiting starting again.
Right.
For guys like you have that might not want to play anymore and didn't want to wait.
Right. Right. Exactly. So, you know, just and walk-ons are vital.
Yes.
To collegiate programs, and then a lot of those guys, you know, if they do what they're supposed to do and they turn out to be good players, you know, a lot of times, you know, they're usually afforded and rewarded scholarships. So that world of college football is pretty much getting ready to get wiped out.
Right.
And then, like you say, with parents, you know, how it affects their recruiting as well too is. I mean, you know, and like I said, you know, they coach, well, how come this is not happening? Well, how come this is not happening? And well, what happened? You know, they were recruiting my son, but now all of a sudden they stopped. Well, ma'am, it's a roster limit and it's a scholarship limit more than likely. You know, that's affecting that. So that's the reason why I say like the NCAA, you know, they're really gonna have to get in. And I know that NCAA, a lot of, you know, they look at them, you know, because they've been this organization that really hadn't stepped in to try to curtail the stuff with NIL and, you know, portal and recruiting and all that stuff. But something has to happen. Something has to happen.
And like you said, for the high school coaches and kids,
It's tough.
You know, it's got it because it's taken 60% of the scholarships away.
Yeah, it's tough.
In a normal year, I counted 392 signees, counting D3 every year.
Right.
Now we're looking at 150.
Right.
So that's 200 plus.
Exactly.
Scholarships gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Right.
Coach, I appreciate you letting me be at Amite today, and I know we're going to meet the players in a few minutes, but as always, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do as well.
Thanks for watching the Sports Scouting Report with Lieber King.